I like to start with what I know and then work towards what I don't know. I wanted to take the formality of the house and the informality of the woods and kind of make the two combine. I'd like to show you how not to mulch around a tree. It's a step that I see very few landscapers doing. You want to make sure to have variation in your heights. Look at how lovely this is. We just cued the butterfly to come in. How we doing today, folks? It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the day after I shot the previous piece, and I'm happy to say I got a good 10 hours worth of sleep last night, and I woke up this morning and I just wasn't really sure I was going to make it or not. So what I did in the morning was I went and I got the metal piece of edging. I cut that piece of edging. We'll go ahead and get that installed, and then I went to the nursery and I picked up the plants, and we'll kind of take it as it comes. I figure whatever I get done today is more than had I, stayed in bed all day. But my energy level is just not where it usually is. So we're just gonna kind of do our best. This isn't all the plants we need for the job, but this is a lot of the plants we need for the job. And right here, this is a red bud. I'd like to see if we can get the red bud in today. This is gonna go on the front left corner of the house. That's gonna be my small flowering tree for the front left corner. And then this other larger tree is a viburnum, which is going to be going between the two properties, between two of the tools that I had in the ground yesterday. The tools were to symbolize a Norway spruce. I wanted to get a little bit of a height there for a little bit of privacy. When I went to the nursery today, they said they're not going to have their Norway spruces for another 2 to 3 weeks. Now that actually might be okay, because the more I look at that bed, I'm looking at more as a shrub border. And while the Norway spruces are going to give me a more immediate screening effect, long term they're going to outgrow the space quickly. So while I was walking around the nursery, they had some beautiful blue princess hollies. They were about 4 feet tall. They were sheared very tightly, but they were really nice, and they're about 4 feet tall. And I thought they would do a great job giving a little privacy, but kind of adding to the shrub border. We haven't talked much about the design, but I'm kind of going with a shrub border look between the two properties. So I'm going to talk to my clients and see if maybe they want to, I'll just substitute the hollies for the spruce trees, and, assuming we're not looking to have anything too huge right away, I think we'll be all right. Because the bed is already up on a hill, 4 feet worth of height plus the other flowering shrubs I'm putting between the evergreens should give some good interest there. Usually the way I do plantings is I'll start with the larger materials and work my way down. It's very easy to move a 2 or 3 gallon pot if you've got it in the wrong space, but it's very difficult to move a 2 to 2.5 inch ball if you've got it in the wrong space. So today we might actually just set our goals on getting this red bud off the truck, getting that planted, getting it well watered in. I've got the hose watering the transplants from yesterday. I could possibly put some of those in today. And then the rest of the stuff, I'm just gonna, neatly put somewhere where I can water it, keep it out of the way. And then I really would like to talk to my clients and see about those holly before we move forward, because the holly are gonna the holly or the spruce trees, whichever way we go, are really gonna set where the bed ends up. It's just much easier for me to work with the big stuff in first, so everything plays off each other. So you have to admit that dingo makes it a heck of a lot easier to get materials on and off the truck. Back in the day, before I had the dingo, or I have a bobcat too, we would bring a couple ramps and we'd basically roll the tree down the back of the truck. once you got it on the ground, we had this machine called, or tool called a ball cart, which would fit underneath the ball, and you'd have one guy pulling back on the handles while another guy pushed on the handles. Now the whole time all that was happening, you just have to be praying that somebody didn't push or pull the wrong way and end up screwing up their back. So I just really, you know, call me lazy if you want, but I mean, this dingo gets the job done faster, and less risk of hurting myself moving heavy objects as well. With evergreens, I'll keep them wrapped up until I plant them because I don't want the branches to be in the way, and I'll put a tag on them at the nursery so I know the best side, because you always want the best side of your tree to be facing the house or where people are going to see it from. To be facing where people are going to see it from. You don't want the best side to face a wall of siding. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the tree, write it, and then I'll just kind of look around at all different angles and see which way looks right. And then I'll also go ahead and test the depth of my hole. I use my shovel, I just hold my shovel, put my thumb on it. That tells me how deep my tree is, and that's how I can test the depth of the hole. Once I've got all that figured out, I'll go ahead and take the pallet fork, scoop up the tree, and put it in the hole. And if you do it right, when you pick up the tree, you scoop it from the side, so when it goes in the hole, it's going to be facing exactly the right way. So you don't have to spin the tree when it's in the hole. There's some new burlap around the ball. Now that tells me that this tree's been in the nursery a while. It must have been either from this spring or possibly last year. But that means it's really well rooted out. So I bet you when I take off this outer layer of burlap, there's going to be a whole bunch of roots in there, and this tree is just raring to go. Once we get it in the soil and give it some water, it's just going to shoot right out in there. That orange piece of tape I put on the ball, that's the side I want to be facing towards the driveway. The ball it's not super tight, so I'm going to leave the burlap on. Sometimes I'll take the outer layer of burlap off out here, but the tree's kind of moving around in the ball a bit, so we're going to pick it up, put it in the hole, and then we'll worry about getting the burlap off once it's in the hole, so we don't have to move it anymore. It doesn't fall apart. When I put it in the hole, it's going to look a little bit high, and it may indeed end up being 3 inches, 4 inches tops high. But what happens is with trees that are grown using modern methods, they usually end up getting planted a little bit too deeply. Between cultivation and digging, the grade of the soil around the ball gets higher. So we're just going to be very careful and make sure when we plant that tree that we take some of the soil off the top of the ball so we can see the flare of the tree, or we start hitting some major roots in there. Before we go ahead and put our tree in the hole, there's a few things we need to check. The first thing we want to check is make sure the hole is big enough. So just take your shovel, feel for the outside of the ball, put your thumb where the other outside of the ball is, and then just put it in the hole. This hole is actually like just barely big enough, but I'm going to dig it a little bit more because I want to have enough room that I can maneuver the ball when I'm planting, and I don't want to put it in the hole and then have it stuck, so if I need to tip it one way or the other or move it a little bit, it's not going to get stuck. So I know I need to dig this ball a touch bigger. The next thing we want to check is the hole deep enough? So what you'll do is you'll find the bottom of the ball, which is resting on the ground right about now. Now this one's kind of tricky because the ball was laying on its side and it got kind of distorted. So we're going to come around here. The top of the ball is about here. But I know, just out of experience, the ball is always 3 to 4 inches higher than the roots. I always end up planting things high, and then I'll scrape off some of the top. So if I put this shovel here, I know that the top of the tree is going to basically end up being around the shank of the shovel here. What I've learned is I need to lower this hole by about 2 or 3 inches and make it about 6 inches wider. Don't rush this part, because if you take a little extra time now, you'll just have to put it in the hole once, straighten it out, and keep moving forward. If you put the tree in the hole and it's like 6 inches, 8 inches too high, you're gonna have to pull it out, and that's just really not fun to do. If you take a look, you can see here's that yellow tag I put on the tree. So the good side of my tree is going this way, because most people, when you pull up into the house, are gonna be looking at the tree from this direction. Not many people are gonna see it out here. All trees have a good and bad side. I don't care what nursery you go to. There's always one side that's better than the others. Put your good side where people are gonna see it from. Now that we've got the tree in the hole the way we want, I'm going to go ahead and cut off as much of that burlap as I can, and then I'm going to get a pair of wire cutters, and if there's any of the basket in the tree growing in the nurseries, a lot of times I'll use a basket to hold them together. If any of that basket is left over, I'm going to go ahead and snip that basket as low below grade as possible. I don't want to have any obstructions from the roots of this tree moving out into the soil. Once I cut everything, I'm going to very carefully start scraping the top of the ball, being very careful not to damage the trunk of the tree. Now I'm going to take my spade and very carefully I'm going to shave off the top 2 to 3 inches of the ball. What I'm looking for here is either some large roots. Once I start hitting large roots, I'll stop digging. Or once I see the flare of the tree exposed, I'll stop digging. But again, usually stuff you get grown in the nurseries these days, because of mechanical digging and mechanical cultivation, it gets planted too deep. We're just about done for today, and as usual, I ended up changing the plan. I ended up taking all the plants off the truck, and then I did plant some of the bigger plants on top of the hill. And the reason I did that is I want to get a feel for whether I have enough plants, if I need to pick up some more plants, and things like that. And there were a few things I noticed where I do need to pick up some plants. But let me give you a walkthrough, show you where we are. I think you'll agree, just looking over my shoulder over here, that once the plants come, it's a much bigger difference. And also for me personally, I know that once we get the plants in the ground and start planting some of the bigger plants, it pretty much is all downhill. I know the beds are good. You know, I'm happy if I haven't cut any wires, and all I got to do is put the plants in the ground, which is pretty straightforward, recut the edge, grade the beds, and then put a nice fresh coat of mulch. But today I didn't lay things out perfectly. I just put them, you know, give or take where they're going to be, and then before I go back and plant, I'll lay the entire bed out and then just pick up the pot right where it is, dig a hole, and put it in the ground. That's a Nana lutea hinoki cypress, very slow growing. Going to add some nice interest. And then right this spot right over here is where these are fastigiate boxwood, and I planted them because we're right along the driveway, and I wanted something that's going to, you know, screen out that concrete there, but it looks like I'm going to need 3. And I'm a little bit torn between going with a regular boxwood or fastigiate boxwood, but I think over the long term we're going to be better with the fastigiates because they're not going to overgrow the space and then end up eating into the driveway. Around the front here, I've got another boxwood to kind of screen out the other side, and this boxwood is also going to be very handy to screen out the hose holder. I've got a couple PJM rhododendrons which I have to, you know, place correctly, and then this is a gold mop chamaecyparis. Don't let the size fool you, folks. Gold mop chamaecyparis get very large, so we're going to make sure we leave this guy plenty of room to grow. And then there's our red bud that we planted earlier today, and I've got some nice spirea around the red bud for that summer color. I did not end up doing the gravel, the edging for the gravel today. I wanted to focus on my plant count, but I've been told by a very good source that it'll still be there tomorrow. And then out here I planted the 3 largest plants. I've got a hydrangea paniculata there, I've got a viburnum in the middle, and then I've got a lilac on the end. And then where the tools are is either going to be Norway spruces or, and I really think that the best choice would be to plant like a blue princess holly. I think that would be the best way. A blue princess meserve holly. 3 of those, and then I've got in front of the deciduous shrubs, I've got a shrub called Siberian carpet, which is going to remain evergreen in the winter. It does turn a purplish color. And then this is Nicoducea, which has a lovely spring bloom, which grows in a ground cover form. So behind that, we're going to have the evergreen holly. So we're mixing it up a little bit there. And then these 3 shrubs, we have a staggered bloom. So your lilac is going to bloom first down at the end. The lilac was here. Then you're going to get your Mauritii viburnum to flower. And then right now, we've got our hydrangea paniculata blooming midsummer, and the flowers will persist all the way till the fall. And we've also got excellent fall color with our Mauritii viburnum, and they also have a really nice red berry in the fall too. Actually, the red berries right now, I've got one in my yard. There's red berries that the birds love, and they're on the plant right now, giving you some summer interest. And then down here, so we would have one more evergreen shrub where the pitchfork is, and then this is dwarf fothergilla, which is going to grow in the spring before the leaves emerge. It's going to have bottlebrush white flowers, and then it's got really nice fall color. And then working down this way, I have to look at the plan again. I know I've got a bench in this shady spot over here and some stepping stones leading to it. And then we're going to just plant some vinca ground cover all over in this area. It's a pretty shady spot, and once these trees dry the soil out, it's going to be a dry spot too. So I wasn't looking to do too much back here. So that's going to do it for today, folks. Thanks a lot for watching, and tomorrow we'll be back and we'll keep keep on planting. Maybe we'll make it to the gravel. Again, there's no rush on the gravel. It's not going anywhere. And today is Wednesday, so I'm thinking that by Friday we should have all the plants in the ground and hopefully have the beds graded out and possibly start edging out the beds. Thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. The next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and take our shovel and push some of this mulch away from the roots. We want to get this mulch out of the way so when we're done planting we can just rake it back.